Hello and welcome to Cedar Haven, a podcast recorded in a treehouse. We're Logan and Ariel, and we live here in the forest with the rest of our family on a multi-generational homestead, where we're learning how to do life together. So come along for the ride. Today on the podcast, we're talking about our epic cross-country RV extravaganza that ended sooner than we'd wanted it to, but stick around to hear all about it. It's quite the journey.
Oh, babe, you have stuff all on your hat. What is that? It's like bark. What have you been doing?
Been in the trees, baby. Welcome to the podcast.
I don't know what to do. I'm like, I keep looking at this.
This is our first video podcast
if you
we've
can't
ever done,
tell.
and I can't stop staring into the soul of the camera.
Okay, stop, please. That's weird. I'm gonna
okay.
put my phone down.
I just feel like your microphone is too floppy. I feel like
Can you
it's.
hear me?
Well, yes, but it's like pointing at me. We're gonna adjust the microphone.
I feel like it's fine.
Okay, hold on. Sorry. Okay. That might actually be worse.
And is it too close to me?
So
now?
here we are in the treehouse. We're gonna cut to a cutaway shot.
Treehouse.
Wasn't that cool? You can do that with video. Although if you're listening to the audio only version of this podcast, just imagine you get to decide what the treehouse looks like in your mind. It's exciting. Yeah, probably looks way better in your mind than it does on the actual
Unless
video.
you're one of those rare people who can't see things in their mind.
Oh, that's true. Oh, those people are so weird.
No, they're not
feel bad.
weird. It's
well,
just
like I feel bad for
sad
yeah.
for
You know, there's
them.
people who literally cannot picture things in their mind. We're already digressing. We haven't even
I'm sorry.
started yet.
I'm sorry, it was my fault.
It's fine. So we have some updates since the last time we talked a little bit.
Yes. I need to remember to talk to you, even though I know that I'm being videoed.
You're being watched right
I'm being
now.
watched.
So what happened to your foot, lady?
I broke it, fractured it, I should say. So it's just a tiny fracture. And the problem for me really is that I stretched the ligaments so badly that it was hard to walk for a while. But I got into this treehouse today, so it's doing a lot better.
Hey, you're doing good.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
I actually should be in my boot right now, and I'm not wearing it.
We
So
won't show
don't
this.
tell my doctor.
Yeah, we won't show this to your orthopedic person.
He would be disappointed in me.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, so that was a bummer.
It was awful. I've never broken a bone like that, and it was just terrible. I 10/10 don't recommend.
Good news though, we both have jobs now.
Yay!
So, you're starting at some point in time. I'm starting on Monday.
Yes.
So,
Mine is a lot more flexible because
Yes.
I'm just a substitute. So.
Substitute teacher.
Yeah.
So I'll be doing marketing, communication, video stuff for the University of Kansas Rec Center. They're such a big school that they have specific marketing jobs for specific sections of the school.
Right.
So essentially I'll have an office in a building with a rock wall and stuff. So it'll be pretty cool. You know, I've been talking a lot about getting in shape instead of just eating my feelings, which is what I've been doing for like the past 2 years. And, you know, putting on a lot of dad weight. So now I'm going to have no excuse. I'm going to have no excuse.
You're just like looking at yourself in the camera. No excuses.
I'm literally going to be working in a gym. And if I'm not buff in a year, it's all my fault.
Well, I love you anyway,
I know
so
you do.
it's all for you,
Yes.
honestly. Like, I don't care if you're buff or not. But I do want you to feel healthy in your own body, so.
So we have so much to talk about when it comes to being on the farm, multi-generational, multi-family living.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into that a lot. I may do like a short one-off episode, one person episode, just me talking to kind of talk about, hey, this is what's coming up. This is what we're going to be talking about from now on, kind of direction for the channel, etc. But before we get into that, we decided we need to take a minute to pause and reflect on this crazy RV journey that we've had, that we didn't really talk about a whole lot while it was happening because it was such a whirlwind. But we gotta get into the journey.
Yeah.
So this might be a two-parter, depending on how long we talk for.
I don't
It's a
know.
lot.
Do you
It's a
think it
lot.
would be a two-parter?
I don't know. We're gonna find out.
It was literally 2.5 months. So
It was a full 2.5 months. But actually, if we start in like February,
That's true.
It
It
was
was like
more.
3 months. Yeah.
it was more. So, yeah. All right. Let's start with the very first time we went out with the RV, which technically was this time, almost this exact time last year
Yes.
at the Maple Leaf Festival, which
Maple
was a
Leaf
disaster.
Festival.
I don't even know why we did that.
It was awful.
We're not talking about that trip. We're talking. We're talking about. So basically, we did that in October. So we were renovating from May of 2021 to essentially March of 2022,
Yeah.
and a lot of tear out, a lot of rebuilding things.
So much.
But most of the renovation probably took place between October of 2021 and February of 2022. That was kind of like
That was the last big bulk of it. Yeah.
that's when we did all the big stuff.
Yeah.
That makes it feel like it's making a difference.
Right.
So we decided to take a trip in February.
Yes.
I always should I say? I always want to say February,
I don't know.
which I know is technically correct.
How do I say it? February. February.
But putting that
I
first
say February.
putting that first R in there just feels scandalous.
I just say February. I don't say February. Or
Right. I mean, nobody says Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I don't know.
Why did I say it?
Why did you say
I
that?
don't know. I sounded kind of like an old person. Wednesday. Oh no, I sounded like the Grinch.
Wednesday. What?
I just never mind.
No, I want to hear what you're about to do. I want to. Yeah, I am.
Well, I was
I'm here
thinking
for
about
it.
the Grinch. Jim Carrey's the Grinch, and he always is like looking at his schedule, and then it's like so busy, and he's like, at 7, I have dinner with myself, and I just can't miss that again. And I love that movie. It's the best version of the Grinch song ever. Anyway, keep going.
The part where he snorts.
Yeah, so he snorts and he
like,
makes all those sounds.
It's weird. It gives me goosebumps the way a good song does, but it snorts.
Jim Carrey is so talented, and yeah.
He's a very polarizing actor, though. You either love him or hate him.
Oh, I love him. He's such a good actor.
So, February of this past year. Man, I can't believe it was this year. It's been a long year.
It's
Right.
like a lifetime.
We are about 80% done with the RV renovation, I would say. We've done most of the stuff inside. We haven't painted the outside yet. So
Right.
it still looks like
A janky
meth lab.
Oh, not that bad.
On the outside. But on the inside, it's not too bad. And so we decided to take a trip. And actually what it was we thought we were going to be on the road. So I had already booked the first like 2 or 3 spots that we were going to stay.
Yeah.
And back in like December, I think. And then once it came closer to like end of January, beginning of February, we decided, hey, let's push our leave date back 1 month. We've got some more things to take care of. And so instead of canceling all those reservations, I canceled some of them that were a little further out, but I kept the closest one.
Because we wanted to test it out.
Because we were like, well, we can still go do a test trip,
Right.
Get our feet wet with it. And so we had this period of about a month where we weren't totally out of our house yet, but we also weren't totally in the RV
It was such
yet.
a strange transition.
It was a horrible time.
I did not like it.
It was so much driving and like, oh, I left this thing at the other place.
Yes. Well, because
it
it
was really
took
annoying.
such a long time to get rid of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we had so much junk.
So many things. Yeah.
And like, I would just go to the house every day and try to put stuff away that I knew we wanted to keep. And then like, was like, okay, this is to get rid of, this is to sell. And then it was just such a headache.
Right. So I can't actually even remember if we were fully moved into the RV out of our house at the time. I think we were still technically sleeping in our house, but most of our stuff was at the RV.
I think it was the end of February or
Yeah.
the beginning of March that we actually were like, okay, we need to move into the RV
Yes.
now.
So that was right after this trip, I think, right?
Yes.
So in February, we're trying to finish our RV renovation. Our RV's at our friend's house, where it was a great setup.
Oh man, it was wonderful.
Really awesome place. I was like, this is actually pretty chill. Had a river and everything. Kids loved it.
It was a good place.
Great place to be. But we took a trip to Marathon, which is this itty bitty town in southwest Texas. It's really cool. It's right.
It's near Big Bend.
Right at the gates of Big Bend, and kind of one of those towns where it's just a highway, and then boom, all of a sudden there's a hotel and a few other little things.
Which it's such a great little town. I love Marathon.
Yeah, so that was our first trip. It was February. I was thinking, hey, it's South Texas. It won't be too bad. but it was freezing.
At nighttime.
At nighttime, and our water lines kept freezing, and so we wouldn't have any water during the day because we didn't have a heated hose yet.
But thankfully they had showers. Like we could shower.
So that was the nice thing, and that's something we actually ended up, which will come up later on. We kind of realized that we love staying at places with really nice showers instead of using our own. We have
ours
our own
is
shower.
nice.
Yeah.
But
so anyways, yeah, we get there the first night. Super nervous. Just anytime I'm towing the RV, I'm nervous. And that was the first like big trip. It was also the first time we had like all of the animals with us. We didn't take the cats that time, though.
No, the cats
we had the
are
dogs,
still at
though.
home.
We had, but like all of the stuff that we owned was in this RV.
Yeah.
And just barreling down the road. And
Man, what a
I was
feeling.
just so sure we were going to have a flat tire or something, but somehow we got there without incident.
Yeah.
Really cool. It was a really cool place. Super cheap. It was like $10, $15 a night.
Because it's right next to a train track.
Right. We figured out why it was so cheap the first night.
Those trains kept coming and they kept on coming.
Right about 2 a.m.
It was so annoying.
And it was just this low rumbling.
Which the kids slept through amazingly.
Except, which one of them threw up again?
Oh my gosh.
So remember, so the first night we get there, super stressed. We get everything set.
I hate even thinking about it.
We're like, okay,
Gives me the shivers.
maybe this isn't so bad. Maybe we didn't throw our lives away and we can do this.
And then you hear that sound in the middle of the night. Every parent's worst nightmare. The sound of like retching.
Oh man.
And hitting the floor.
Wasn't it Arwen?
It was
she was on the top
Arwen,
bunk
and
it
she
just
at
descended.
Least, I don't know what I would have preferred, like her to throw up all over her bed, but she went over the side and was everywhere.
And she got it on Milo.
I almost threw up. It was just
so
bad. It was so bad. That was like our first night or second night?
I think it was the
first or second
night. I can't remember.
It was early on into that trip.
So we stayed, what was it, 5 days?
5 days.
I think it was 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
And but other than that, it started to become a really great trip, I would say.
Yeah, after all that.
Yeah, so that was when really, and honestly the first couple of weeks, even once we hit the road full time, was all just about learning the rhythm and how to even make this work. So the nice thing is like, there's not really a space in our RV for me to do any sort of work. I mean, I could sit at like the kitchen table, but with kids right there, it's just crazy.
It's really crazy.
So what I kind of started doing was I would leave in the morning, go to a coffee shop, and what?
I just burped.
The mic definitely picked that up. Way to go. We're gonna replay that back.
Please, get rid of that. Oh.
You probably wouldn't have even noticed it. If
No, it's right here at my throat. I have a feeling it's gonna be like a deep gurgle. Yes.
What was that in the low end? I'm hearing something. Is that a plane flying over? No.
Anyway.
I remember. Oh yeah. So the great thing is I got to see so many amazing coffee shops throughout the country on this trip.
Oh my gosh.
That was a cool thing.
I love. That's one of my that was one of my goals, is to see all the coffee shops in each area. Not all maybe, but some of the good ones.
So there was a really cool coffee shop in this tiny town called Marathon, and I would go there in the morning. I would do some work, come home, walk home for lunch, because it was usually in walking distance. We tried to stay, in walking distance. So walking distance, and then maybe go back in the afternoon or help kids with school, because Ariel was starting to homeschool Arwen on the road at that point.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of a rhythm, is we did that. I would try to do work. So to go back to our last episode, I would go to the coffee shop, do a little bit of work for my business, but also see what jobs were out there. At this point, I'm still mostly just applying to jobs that are like my dream jobs that I think would be cool, because I'm horribly optimistic and I just assume everyone wants to hire me, I guess. I don't know. What it was is I don't understand how the real world works, okay? I've been rotting away in the very edge of the Bible Belt for 30 years.
Away.
San Angelo is not the real world, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
I would say that a lot of people like that about San Angelo.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I even enjoy that. But it's still the truth, is that it's like, I don't know how the real world works.
Yeah.
So
at least the corporate business world.
Right. So I have no idea,
that.
like how many jobs you're supposed to apply for, or what kind of jobs I'm qualified for. So I'm like, oh yes, I'd like to be a host on NPR,
Hey, you gotta dream it.
You gotta aim big.
You gotta go for it.
Because if you aim big, even if you miss, you end up working at a gas station. You know?
You never worked at a gas station. You almost did.
Anyways,
but-
yeah, so I would, do a little bit of work, but also apply for jobs, also working on podcast stuff.
Yeah.
But also that was the week where I really realized, man, if I'm going to try to build a business or build up a podcast to make money, that's like, I'm going to have to spend 10 hours a day, 6 days a week in front of a computer.
Yeah.
And just realizing, being honest with myself about that, like, I don't want to do that, make the kids and you have to go through that. And also just being totally honest, like I still have the idea of remote work. That's still like my ultimate goal. I still want to be able to just work and travel indefinitely.
Yeah,
Sounds awesome. But I'm not a sit in front of a computer 8 hours a day kind of person. Like I can't do it. I can do 3 hours maybe. And then
4 or 5.
I can do 3 hours and still be in a good mood. I can do 4 to 6 hours and feel like my life is falling apart. I can do
He
6 to
comes
8
home sometimes,
and just completely disassociate.
Like he does this thing where he goes into this doom spiral.
Hey, we'll talk about doom spirals later.
Anyway.
And I'm not saying like I can't do 8 hours of work a day. I'm saying like sitting in front of a computer, staring at a screen. I have to have this rhythm of, which is why, videography is great for me, because it's like there is a lot of that, but then there's also a lot of equipment. Sometimes you're running through the woods, So yeah, I mean, it's pretty great. So anyway, so realizing those things kind of made me realize, oh boy. Anyway, so then we also, at this trip, we did go down into Big Bend. That was pretty cool.
That was really fun. Arwen and Milo liked that too.
I just burped too.
Then we're even. Great.
Even.
And that was one of the best parts for me about this whole thing. And I still aspire to this. Like someday, I don't know, maybe the kids might be too old by the time we have the income necessary to do this lifestyle again. But like the places that we went, like it was just so great for the kids. Like they got to see so many things, and Arwen like just talks to people, and she will go and make friends everywhere she goes.
Well, and that was one of the things that we were really excited about with homeschooling on the road, is that we're not just sitting our kids down in classrooms and teaching them stuff, but actually showing them. And so
it's like a great mixture.
Yeah, so like Big Bend, had have a great dinosaur fossil.
Program.
Well, they have that dinosaur fossil exhibit.
Yes.
And so,
oh my gosh, that was our favorite.
So part of homeschool that week, we talked about dinosaurs and stuff like that.
Them.
And then we went and we looked at the dinosaur fossils, and we did that with other types of things on the road as well. So that was really cool. That was really encouraging to be like, okay, we can actually not just teach our kids things, but show it to them in a way that's so much more
tangible.
edifying. Yeah.
And I felt like she just flourished with that stuff.
So other than that, I mean, it was a pretty good trip. Yeah, I mean, we all went into the park one day and then came back, and then I worked another day or two, and then I think the second to last day, I went back in the park by myself.
Yeah, I let you go hiking.
Recorded an episode of Routes Unbound that's going to be coming out about that. It was pretty cool. And just hiked around a bunch.
Yes.
That was pretty fun. And that was pretty much the trip. Then we headed back home. Was anything else happen on that trip?
No, I don't think so.
I think it was pretty.
It was
pretty chill.
it was encouraging, because I was like, oh, nothing bad happened, other than
if
throw
only we had known.
No, that sounds so ominous.
we went back to back home.
Yes.
So we get back home, finish up the RV renovation.
Yeah.
It was actually almost a whole nother month, because we were going to rent out our house, and then we decided last minute to sell our house.
Yeah, because the renting didn't work out.
Yeah, which actually we sold, I think, at a pretty good time.
It was
pretty
great.
much pretty good peak, but so we were getting all that ready, painting the RV.
Yeah.
I sent you over to your mom's house with the kids and just painted all day every day for like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Got it done. I was like, oh my gosh, people without families. How are people without families not just like doing so much all the time? Like, it's crazy the amount of time you have. Not complaining. I'm just saying, like, the amount of time you have.
No, I mean,
if you're
having
single.
kids, and you gotta donate. You have to give so much time to that.
Right.
That is most of your life.
And I'm all about co-parenting, and is that the right term?
Co-parenting, yes.
And
you're a great co-parent.
So yeah, I try to not just dump the kids on you so that I can go do stuff.
No, that's why, we're pretty good at communicating. Like when you're like, I'd really enjoy hiking this day. Does that work with your schedule?
You would like to go to Old Navy.
And I would like to go shopping.
So we finished the RV renovation about 95%. The last 5% is like trim work that I still haven't done because it's like nobody else pays attention to that. And we're ready to set out on the road. We've moved everything out of our house. We've said goodbye to everybody. We have a going away party.
Yep.
And then we hit the road, I think it was the 25th, March 25th.
Yes, March 25th.
Exactly a month before my birthday. And our first stop is El Paso.
Oh, El Paso.
El Paso, which is because I had to get measured for a tux for a wedding I was in,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the nearest place that was like on our way.
Yeah.
And so about a 6-hour drive.
7 or 8 with the
How was it
kids.
7? Oh yeah, I mean like 6 hours with no stops.
Yeah. Oh,
which actually what we learned was a pretty far to drive in a one day with an RV. So that's another thing we learned is there's a big difference between just getting in a car and going somewhere. We used to do 11-hour trips in 12 hours. Back in the day without kids and stuff, but with kids and pets and an RV.
And an RV, yeah.
A 4 or 5 hour drive is gonna take you 8 or 9 hours.
It's gonna take you all day.
Yeah. So that first day was kind of a sprint to El Paso.
Yes.
Do you remember how you felt when we were driving away?
Listen. I was very, very ready to get out of San Angelo for lots of various reasons, which we do not need to get into.
We could get into them.
I mean, not during this episode.
Yeah, that's another podcast.
It's a whole hullabaloo. So, but I remember, and I think we touched on this a little bit last episode. I just remember this sense of this weight coming off of me and relief, and it was so overwhelming I almost cried, but I was laughing. I was laughing because I felt so happy. And I looked over at Logan and I was like, we did it! We got out!
Yeah.
Because for a long time it felt like we would never be able to leave. It was almost like It's a Wonderful Life in George Bailey, but the opposite, because George Bailey ends up loving being where he is. And that's one of my favorite all-time movies anyway. But it felt like we were being, I don't know, almost kept prisoner. It sounds so negative when I say it that way,
Hey,
but
you're moving my camera.
oh, sorry.
It's okay. No, but I get what you mean, because for me it was I've been trying to get out since high school. Not because I don't like San Angelo, but it just was I'm probably not going to just stick around where I was, where I grew up and went to high school.
It would suck us back in.
Yeah, well, the problem is that, I just, especially for me, I had a lot of success in my business, and they refer to it sometimes as golden handcuffs, where it's you're trapped, but you're trapped because you have it so good
that you don't want to
let go of that thing.
Yeah, because you're secure and exactly.
Yeah. For me, I felt some of that, but I was more all right, I'm going to let myself feel that once we are parked in our spot in El Paso.
You would get so nervous.
Well, just the
driving.
logistics of it all.
I
was
know.
okay, I got to make sure everything's good. And the weird thing is the place we were staying, our friend's house, was west of town, a good 20 miles. So when we left San Angelo, we didn't really drive out of the city. It was a little weird. It was a little anticlimactic, which I'm okay with. But it wasn't all right, we're going to drive through the city and say goodbye. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We did that the day before, kind of.
Yeah, we did. But not with our RV.
No, yeah.
And so it was a little different because it was, but just so many logistics, so many little mechanical things about the tires and the other tires and the hitch and the lights and the electricity and all the stuff in the undercarriage.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes
That was
into
also
it.
running through my brain. But then once we get to El Paso, it's middle of the city, but not too bad. It's a place with an RV park with a cool swimming pool.
Oh, wow.
Really cool
Indoor
swimming pool.
Very fun.
And Arwen loved it,
Mm-hmm.
and I get everything set up, and I still don't even totally know how this RV works, but I think I get the, almost at the gears, landing gears.
Oh.
What I'm talking about.
Oh, the
Landing gears.
Like it's an
Is this the
airplane.
Millennium Falcon?
the leveling? No.
The jacks.
Okay, I don't know.
The leveling
What
jacks.
is it? Yeah.
Yeah. I get all those set up, and I get our water plugged in
Yeah.
and everything. It's still a little bit cold at night.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing also we realized is that we left in March, and we just started going north as it got later into the year.
Yeah.
So we basically were in like late winter, early spring for like 3 months.
For
It
a
was
long
crazy.
time.
Yeah, it was weird. It felt like, yeah, it was weird. But I remember there was a moment where I went to go get us dinner from Five Guys,
Oh, right.
and that was where it hit me that like,
Oh, you
okay,
never
we
told
did,
me that.
we did it. I thought I did. I thought I
Did
told you
you?
that night. It's like,
I don't remember.
I wasn't, and I don't think I had like super strong emotions. Maybe I did. It was just more of like
It was subdued.
it was just more like, wow, this is happening. Okay, this
Yeah.
is really, I'm like,
I feel
sold
like
everything.
I felt it so strongly, and it was like because it came on almost all of a sudden
Oh,
for
yeah.
me. But yeah, I feel like for you it's more gradual, like which
Yeah.
is probably healthier.
Yeah.
I don't like maybe because I don't let myself feel emotions.
You're like, all right, this is my 5-minute window.
This is it. This is it. Here we go, guys.
No, I mean, yeah, like for me, it was just, wow, this is really happening. We really did it.
Yeah.
I sold everything. I'm on the road. There's no going back. I think I'd been in a liminal space for so long. So I think we talked about this before. Like liminal space is a space, usually it's an architectural term, I think, sometimes, where it talks about like spaces that are designed for humans, but they're designed for humans in transit.
Yeah.
So they're designed for people, places that are designed for people to be, but not to be in for a very long time.
Right.
So think of like bus stops,
Right.
hallways,
Right.
these places where when you're there, it's not hostile, but you know that it's not forever. And so the idea of liminal space, like in life, I feel like I'd been in a liminal space for like 2 years,
Yeah.
just with my mind and my emotions. And so I finally felt like, all right, I'm finally on the other side of this transition. And I think for me, that was what was really good.
It felt good.
Yeah. So yeah, El Paso, we went to the zoo the next day.
Oh yeah.
Which was pretty cool.
Which is a nice zoo.
It's a good
It's
zoo.
a good zoo.
Good zoo. It was cool zoo, and then we only stayed there 2 nights, right?
Yes.
And then the third day we drove from El Paso to our second stop, which was Silver City, New Mexico.
Oh, Silver City.
Which low key might have been one of my top 3 spots.
It is
we
so
stayed.
nice.
Never been there. Didn't even really know much about it. I just knew that we were kind of like heading towards Arizona, and it was on the way, and it was a little mountain town, and yeah. So we get, I don't think we had any incidents from El Paso to Silver City.
Nope.
Pretty straightforward drive on I want to say I-10, right? And then you kind of go up into the mountains, and we stayed at this really cool place that was. I don't remember the name of it, but
it was right next to a graveyard.
it was right next to a graveyard where the grave of the mother of Billy the Kid
Yeah,
was.
Billy the Kid's mom.
Yeah.
Her grave was there.
Yes, which is interesting because Billy the Kid's grave is apparently in like 4 different places.
Yeah, but his cabin is there.
Yeah, that's also where like his cabin is and stuff. But super cool place. The place we stayed at was more of a campground. And so
I liked it though.
but with showers, and so it was, spaces were very spread out, lots of juniper trees,
Lots
and this
of
big
area for the
grassy
kids.
area behind the RV, huge acreage where we could just go roaming in the mountains, and the dogs could go. The kids loved it. Didn't see a whole lot of other people there.
Yeah.
But then, so I forgot to mention though, so I brought my electric bike, not to marathon, but on the rest of, once we left home.
Right.
So I had my electric bike, so I could ride that into downtown Silver City, which is just like this, it's a very touristy town. So this little strip, but there was so many cool coffee shops there.
No, but it had the best one I've ever been to.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so
It was,
good.
I thought I was in a medieval tavern.
Oh, it was so cool. And had really good
They
coffee.
actually, you're not allowed in unless you're wearing a slouch beanie, is what I've heard.
Well, they let me in,
Oh, that's true.
so I must have been cool enough.
Yeah, so Silver City was super quaint, super cool. Definitely the kind of place I loved spending some time in, but yeah, wouldn't necessarily want to live there all the time.
Right.
But same kind of scenario. I would try to go and work and stuff
Yeah.
during the day. You were doing school with Arwen, but then we would also do a lot of stuff during the week. Where,
Not a lot, just
not a lot.
a few
So
things
we
here
went
and
up.
there.
We drove up into National Forest to go visit some monks at a monastery.
Don't remind me.
Which would have been so cool, but we got there and
That's
they were all
embarrassing.
running through the woods.
Yeah.
It was so I guess once or twice a week, they they go running through the woods together and eat meat.
That's apparently something they do.
So there was one monk there who's like the groundskeeper.
Yeah, we did get to see
and
stuff.
we talked to him, and he gave us a little tour.
We bought coffee.
That was super interesting to me. I guess I'll probably expand on that at some point in time, but just the idea, I was also in a place where I was wanting to really like understand people of other faiths, and I guess Catholic monks aren't that different than I guess Protestantism, which is what I've traditionally been associated with. But I think I was grown up. I was raised in an environment where I was kind of taught to think that Catholics were not only bad but like demonic. You know what I mean?
Not demonic.
Oh yeah, no, I was told. Oh
What?
yeah, for sure. You never heard that?
No.
Yeah, because they pray to Mary, and that's like a demon. Anyways.
My mom just said that like we don't pray to saints because that doesn't actually do anything. Like
Right.
It doesn't matter. My
Anyways,
mom never said that.
we're about to have a huge digression here, but basically, I was like, I wasn't like I want to go become a Catholic or anything, but I was just like, I want to understand how other people think and believe without this context of I'm right, you're wrong. Let me
Right.
save you.
Right.
Let me
Let me understand you.
understand why be celibate and live in the mountains and do, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it's just fascinating.
it is.
Yeah. So that was almost cool. It was still cool to go up there. But
My social anxiety was like the
Oh,
whole
yeah, you were
time,
freaking
but
out. Like, we're gonna talk to strangers. Well, because like they have visiting hours. It wasn't like
yeah,
we were.
I know that. But
We weren't, intruding. In fact, I checked their website. They're like, yeah, come. People would go up there for mass and stuff.
I know that, but like
yeah.
nobody else is there, and
Yeah.
I just felt awful.
So
Anyway.
Silver City also had a cool museum.
Mm-hmm.
It was a mining town,
Yep.
naturally, where it's got its name from.
Yeah.
And so learned a lot about the Southwest of America. What else was there? Not really a whole lot.
Not a
else.
whole lot. We
Yeah.
went bowling.
We went bowling. Yeah, that was fun. Anyways, all around it was a cool town, cool place to be. We did go hiking, I think, once or twice.
Yeah, we did.
It was fun. Then from there, our next stop.
Oh gosh, where did we go?
Did
Hold
we go
on.
all the way to Tombstone after that?
We need to like make sure we map this out.
Well,
I
wait.
don't-
Was there a stop?
Was it Tombstone?
Was there a stop between Silver City and Tombstone? I don't think there was.
I don't think so. I think we went straight to Tombstone.
So Silver City on the west side of New Mexico. Our next stop after Silver City, we spent I think a little over a week there, maybe a week there.
It was a week.
We went from Silver City down to Tombstone,
Arizona.
Tombstone, Arizona. So this was more of like a detour spot. So when we were in Silver City, we'd only been planning out a few weeks ahead of
Yes.
time because we didn't know, necessarily we wanted to be, and we weren't sure we wanted to spend how long we wanted to spend in each place. Like, what's the, some people who full-time RV, they'll spend 6 months in a place.
Right.
Other people, they spend 4 days tops. So there's really so many different ways to do it. And so we were like, we're going to figure out the pace as we go. So we don't want to plan too far ahead. But the problem is that Arizona, post-pandemic, in the springtime,
Oh my god.
there's nowhere. There's not a single camping site in the entire state.
So many people camping in that
And we were trying to
state.
get to Phoenix. You couldn't find a single spot. The hard thing was that, you could find plenty of spots on Monday through Friday, but Saturday and Sunday totally booked, of course,
Totally booked.
because people being chained to the 9 to 5 like we are now. Oh,
Sorry.
so everyone goes camping the weekends. The problem with that is that if you want to stay for more than, it was like a Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we would have to like stay somewhere for 4 days, go leave for the weekend, come back.
Yeah.
Well, and then where are we going to stay during the weekend?
Exactly.
We didn't have the resources to boondock yet,
Yet.
which is where you can, stay on the land without any connections.
Right.
So anyways, we did find a place to stay in Tombstone.
Yes.
Which is, if you've seen the movie, Tombstone is like the quintessence. It's where they call it where the West was born.
Listen, Tombstone, I was so happy there because it was so touristy.
Right.
It was the most touristy place I have ever been to. And that's including Disney. I mean,
Yeah.
they like amp up the story of Tombstone like to the
Right.
max.
It was a 2-minute shootout.
2-minute shootout.
Yeah.
And they have like show like
Yeah,
they
and
have
they
like
reenact
a
it twice
10-minute
a day.
show.
They have been for for decades.
But
Yeah.
like it was wonderful. I would go back there definitely.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, totally, because it's the kind of place where it's not a real town anymore. Like
Oh,
it's different.
not really.
You know, it's
Yeah.
different than whenever you go to a place that's a real town and is overrun by tourists.
No,
and you're a
this
tourist and you
is a
feel
town
bad.
for tourists.
It's essentially
Yeah.
a theme park,
Yes.
basically.
Yep.
In the middle of the Arizona desert.
Yeah.
And the main strip looks the exact same way it did
So
back.
fun.
Still dirt roads with horse and
Yes.
buggies and
I
all
went
these
to
cool shops.
the old brothel / showgirl place, and that's like a cool museum now, and that was awesome. Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
just loved everything about
And
Tombstone.
we stayed in this tiny, tiny RV park
yeah.
in the middle of town, only about 10
that was
spots
great,
maybe.
too.
And it looked a little junky when we pulled in, but it was super
And then lady
a
was
great
really
place
nice.
to stay.
She makes great breakfast.
Yeah.
The owner.
And the great thing is, we're like 3 blocks from this main strip where all the tourist stuff is,
Yeah.
and I just put the kids on the bike with their helmet.
Oh my gosh.
And zoom
the
over
kids
there.
absolutely love
Oh, yeah.
Tombstone too.
And the cool thing for me
Go get
though
a cold
too,
sarsaparilla.
yeah, the cool thing for me too is that with the places like that, they totally just shut down at night.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? But all the lights were still on, and being so close to where we were, being so close to like the main tourist area,
Yeah.
with our RV, I would take the bike out at night, and I could just got to ride around this deserted
Town.
desert western ghost town.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things I realized that's really cool about the RV lifestyle is that you get to experience things that you wouldn't if you're just like coming for a day trip or like staying in a hotel nearby.
Yeah.
There's that proximity that, was really interesting. So I rode up into the hills one night, kind of away from town. I don't know if I ever told you that.
You did.
Okay. And that was cool. And
That was a very enjoyable.
It
And
was
we
a
stayed
cool
there for like
place.
3 nights, right?
Yeah, it was a pretty short
one.
It was just like a detour, but it was a lot of fun. When we went, and one day we went down and played along in a river somewhere
Yeah.
in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, great time, great family time. No complaints there. I think we went in expecting like a giant tourist trap, and so because of that it was great.
Yeah.
You know,
our expectations were
Yeah.
kind of low, but
Yeah.
it turned out to be awesome.
So yeah, that was Tombstone.
Then
and
where
then
did we go?
From Tombstone, we
Phoenix area.
right. So we had a
right.
really hard time finding anywhere to stay in Phoenix. And then Ariel had a great idea.
Well, I went to Airbnb. Was it through Airbnb? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
Because I was looking through all the normal sites for like RVing, and there's nothing. And so I was like, okay, maybe Airbnb has something, because sometimes people put random RV sites that they have on their land up for rent on Airbnb. And I found one in somebody's backyard, but it worked. They didn't have they had water.
They didn't have sewer hookups.
They had water, but not sewer.
They had water and electric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was awesome.
But also that was something that we realized is that, okay, we have to have sewer hookups, or so when you're RVing, you are always thinking about your poop.
That's disgusting.
You're thinking, do I have too much poop in my black tank? Where can I put this poop when I need to put it somewhere? So if you're traveling and you're boondocking too much, or you're at campgrounds without sewer hookups, you got to think about
it.
where can I dump this stuff.
Yeah,
So
you have to think about it.
yeah. So that place didn't have sewer hookups,
But we were okay because we dumped right before, and then we were able to dump right after.
So we're mostly passing through. My best friend lived in Phoenix at the time. He no longer does, but at the time he did. So we hung out a whole bunch.
Oh, it was great.
My cousins also live in Phoenix. I got to see one of them. And then did we do any? Oh yeah, we took the kids to like some cool, fun bounce house indoor
Oh my
bounce
gosh,
thing. Did we
Had a
do anything
blast.
else at Phoenix?
No,
I don't feel like we did. I mean, we were only there 2 nights.
2 nights.
I feel like we went to Splash Pad, I guess, one day.
Yeah, splash pad. We just hung out. It was great.
Yeah, it was pretty great. I think, did I buy a generator there, or that was in Flagstaff? That was Flagstaff.
I don't remember when you
Yeah.
did
So
that.
speaking of Phoenix, we're there for 2 days, and then we depart from Phoenix. We go north to
Flagstaff.
Flagstaff. So Flagstaff
One of
is
my favorite
one of the
places.
biggest cities that's really close to the Grand Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
It's where the University of New Mexico, Northern New Mexico. There's a university there. I forget what it's called.
I don't know.
Apologies to people who
I
know exactly
never
what it's
pay
called.
attention to that stuff.
So it's like a college town, but it's also a big mountain town.
Yes.
It's also on the interstate between California and like New Mexico.
It's a
So
very,
it's a very,
very
busy,
popular place.
Yeah, it's a very busy but smallish town.
Well, we were able to find a place
But
there.
we stayed at a really cool campground with really big, tall trees and really nice people. And I
who
remember
Arwen immediately talked
Right,
to
of
and made
course.
friends with.
Again, it was a little chilly there.
Yeah. We were
got
fine
there,
though because we have heaters. So we're
Right. I'm trying to think if anything bad happened on that trip. I don't think so. Oh yeah, that was when I realized that our tires were really low. Not on the RV, but on the truck. I was like, oh the PSI on these bad boys is pretty low, and that was terrifying.
If you have ever
And-
had to do anything with tires on that, what is it, a dually? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. So again, stuff I probably should have figured out beforehand. But I was like, okay, it's no big. We'll fill it up at the gas station. You know, they have those like things. But of course, I could do some of them. But the dually tires, the nozzles for the dually tires are like
Yeah.
way back
I don't
in
know
there.
why they
You have
do
to have a
that.
special thing to like. And so let me flick my. You guys hear that cow? Anyways, so I just clenched my fists, gritted my teeth, and thought, I hope we get through this. And yeah, so we did. We got to Flagstaff all right. And then I spent that week when we weren't doing fun things, taking Milo with me on trips to Home Depot to buy things to try. I had to buy an air compressor, which I hadn't bought yet. So I bought an air compressor, a good one to take with us that would fit. And I bought all these different attachments to get the nozzle
Yep.
for the air compressor onto the dually tire thing. So I got some of those and bought a generator finally, like a $600 generator.
Yep.
Because you know,
a nice
basically
one.
we needed to be able to boondock, which means we needed to be able to have electricity whenever, if we ever, that way, because I knew it was like, all right, we're gonna have a hard time finding campgrounds if we're not ever able to just like spend the night in a parking lot
Right,
somewhere,
exactly.
or on some public land somewhere. And so we did end up using it, I think, once.
Because didn't we boondock right after Flagstaff?
No,
No.
it was quite a bit later.
Oh.
That was Idaho.
I need to look at. I wrote about all this.
That was
stuff. I need to
Idaho
look at it.
/ Wyoming.
Was it?
That we, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I don't remember that.
yeah. We'll get to that because remember it was the window incident.
Oh, the window.
Yeah. So Flagstaff was a lot of fun. Same thing. I was able to ride my bike
Yeah,
downtown.
great coffee shop.
Some good coffee
Great.
shops, great stores. We took a day trip to the Grand Canyon,
Yes.
which was insane because we took the dogs.
Well, let me
and-
tell you about that.
Oh yeah, Ariel had a bit of a panic attack.
A bit. Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Taking a 2-year-old to the Grand Canyon.
Listen, the last time
it's
I
terrifying.
went was fine. I was a teenager. I didn't have to worry about anybody else dying. Okay? I literally see my children get so close to the edge, and my intrusive thoughts are just like, they're going to fall over. They're going to die.
And of course, I had to be like, Milo, don't get close to the edge.
Oh,
and of course, he's
oh,
just like,
even thinking about it right
Right.
now, I'm like,
and of course, he just doesn't. Why, Dad?
why, Dad?
Why?
Why, Dad?
Milo, listen, bud.
But we
But the
didn't.
kids loved it.
I mean, it was beautiful.
I mean, I'm sure
They thought it
Milo
was
didn't
cool.
really understand what he was seeing. You know, he's a
No,
little guy.
he's not going to remember.
But Arwen definitely appreciated it.
Yeah.
She thought it was amazing. And it's so cool to be able to give our children experiences like that.
Mm-hmm.
And anything else happen in Flagstaff?
No.
It was a good week.
It was very uneventful,
Yeah. we went
which
to
is
Grand
good in the
Canyon.
RV world.
Right. I feel like there was something else we did, but maybe not.
I don't remember.
Man, we're going to remember as soon as this podcast is over. All right, we got to get out of Arizona
Yeah.
before we finish. I told you, I think it's going to be a two-parter.
This is a long one.
It's a long one,
Yeah.
but it's
Okay.
interesting because it's a story. It has a linear progression.
Okay. Okay, Professor.
So Flagstaff is also where I started realizing, man, we're spending money, don't have a lot of money coming
Yeah.
in, some money coming in, but
Not
not a
very
ton.
much.
Still applying for jobs, starting to lower my standards, starting to think less about starting a business.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where things started shifting
Yeah.
for us.
Starting to think about where we wanted to go next. We knew we were eventually going to try to end up in Salt Lake with
Jesse, my brother.
I almost said Jesse's brother, Ariel's brother, Jesse, who's in Salt Lake at the time. And so I was kind of planning the route out for that. So our next stop was going to be a one-night stop in Kaibab. I always forget how to say it. Is it Kaibab?
Kaibab. K-Bab,
So
I
there's
think.
this highway that kind of snakes along the border of Arizona and Utah, and it kind of goes into Utah and then back down to Arizona, back into Utah. And that's where like Horseshoe Bend is,
Yes.
and that's where
Which we did see that.
yeah, that's where like Lake Powell is. It's a really cool drive. So that was our next stop. So we were in Flagstaff for a week. We leave Flagstaff. A forest fire actually started like the day after we left.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That would have blocked our way out. So
we
pretty
missed it,
crazy.
right?
I feel bad. I think some people lost their homes with that, but so we're going up the road. So that day, that travel day, I think it's like a 3-4 hour
It was
drive.
like 4 hours. Yeah.
4 hours.
So we weren't like too worried about it because it was a shorter day.
Right. So we do Horseshoe Bend, which is this really cool, crazy bend in the river.
Beautiful.
It's like the Grand Canyon with like a river at the bottom of it. Super cool. Except for it was a little sad. I mean, I guess it's good, but like it's so built, it's crazy. I went there in 2016,
There's so
and it's
many
just like
people.
this sandy hill. It was like a sandy parking lot you park at, the sandy hill you walk over, and then you just go stand at the edge. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
but they built it up because people were destroying the environment.
So now it's very accessible.
Yeah.
They have an actual parking lot there with a gate,
And a
like
trail.
gates with people there at the gates welcoming you in, and like actual bathrooms, and then like a paved trail
Yeah.
that goes around the sandy hill, and just tons of people. So good in the sense that it's like people aren't destroying the environment anymore, and it's more accessible for people
Yes.
with disabilities
Right.
or who have a hard time getting to the edge. But it's kind of a bummer because it feels like it was more of like a off the beaten path kind of
It's
location before.
more special.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and now it feels, which is basically everywhere all the time now. But I get it. You know, I'm not complaining. And it's good. But so we went there, stopped for lunch, and then we had another, I think, 2 hours to K-Bab, however you say it.
Yeah.
This tiny little town. So we get out of Page, and there's
Yes.
about 45, no, maybe like an hour and 50 minutes, something like that, between Page, Arizona, and K-Bab, Utah. And we get about 3/4 of the way. I think we're only like 20 minutes out of
I know,
town
we're so close.
from K-Bab. The sun's starting to go down, and I feel a bump. I just feel a bump. That's it. I was like, I think something happened. So I pull over. Oh man, the sun's like right on my lens.
Oh, nobody's been seeing you at all the whole time. Can you move it?
I'm gonna move it just a little bit. Just a little. Okay. Check it out.
Check it out.
Check me out. I'm gonna have to slouch a little bit.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
Yeah, so we're 20 minutes away. Sun's going down.
Ugh.
It's getting late. I feel this bump.
Yep.
So we pull over. I get out, and one of our tires is missing.
The whole thing.
Like, not like just on the RV.
Yeah.
The tire, the hubcap, the whole wheel. Not just the tire, the wheel came
Gone.
off.
Gone.
And what happened is it snapped the bolt. So the lug nuts
Yep.
that you nut the lugs on there? Wait, no. You lug the nuts on there. Dang it. Oh, it's PG-13 podcast.
Sorry.
Yeah, the bolts
Yes,
with the
the
things
bolts,
you screw
yes.
on. Those snapped
Those
off.
snapped off. Yep.
And there's nothing I can do.
And we couldn't even
Absolutely
find the
nothing I can do.
tire at first. Like,
So first of all, that came off. It busted. It came off with such force that it busted and bent the whole back right part of our RV.
Ugh.
Luckily, it didn't damage the frame at all, but it bent the back part up, tore off our back license plate,
yep.
and completely off, and tore off the back brake light.
Brake light. Yep.
All of that was just somewhere on the side of the road in the
Within
middle
seconds.
of Utah. As the
Gone.
sun's going down.
Oh,
And
it's terrible.
Oh man, yeah.
And the kids are hungry. It's about to be dinner. Like, it's
And
dinner time. And
That's where we're gonna stop it, because it's a cliffhanger. There's gonna be a part 2.
Okay.
We got to do a part 2.
it's true.
So
You're right.
we'll come back. But this was part 1 of our RV journey.